Hi beautiful souls, you have reached the Divine Femme Spiritual and Wellbeing podcast. My name is Jess and it is an honour to hold this space for you. My aim is to create a safe space where you feel amongst friends to talk about all things spiritual and wellbeing related without the fear of judgment. Our podcasts and products have been created to inspire positivity, empowerment and sisterhood. Thank you for joining us, you are very welcome here. Hi guys, this first episode is just a short and sweet introduction to tell you a little bit about myself and my business which is launching soon. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I'm Jess, founder of Divine Femme Spiritual and Wellbeing Products and this very podcast you are listening to now. Now, I am a little bit of a technophobe, so please bear with us while we get into the swing of things as this is our first time recording. So yeah, let's see how it goes. It really was my aim to create luxury wellness products which encourage you to take a pause, practice some wellbeing exercises, and I wanted them to be easily incorporated into your day. So this led us on to our first product, which is our deluxe aromatherapy candle. Honestly, I might be biased, but they are beautiful. The fragrances are absolutely stunning. And each candle has an intention and the fragrance is designed to support the intention of a candle. Each candle also has a crystal and the crystal is also being strategically picked to support the intent of the candle as well. They are also vegan and cruelty free and have up to a 40-hour burn time, which means you're getting a lot of candle for your money as well. What makes our candles even more special and truly unique is that they come with a QR code. This QR code opens up to our link tree, which has a range of media about your well-being, such as Spotify playlists, which contain meditation music and sleep affirmations, this very podcast, and we also have our very own affirmations, which we have recorded, which have been read by different women. And the idea behind that was to really sort of create a collective feminine energy when you're listening to these affirmations, to promote positivity and inspire empowerment and feelings of sisterhood, and to make you feel and aware that no matter how lonely our life experiences can seem, that you aren't alone. You are amongst friends and you are very welcome within this space and this community that I'm wanting to create. Whilst I am a spiritual person, I'm also quite scientifically minded. So most of our products and the practices that we discuss and recommend do have scientific rationale behind them as well. So I honestly believe you don't need to be spiritual or into crystals and things like that to really enjoy and benefit from our products and podcasts and affirmations and everything else that we're going to go on to create. Briefly going back to our candles, although aromatherapy is an holistic practice, there is scientific research to show that floral fragrances support the release of neurotransmitters such as endorphins, dopamine and serotonin, which all contribute towards feelings of happiness and relaxation. And that is one of the reasons why we have also included floral aromas within our fragrance blend within the candles. So as much as some of our practices might seem a little bit woo-woo and out there to those who aren't sort of into spirituality, there is also more science behind them often than what most people appreciate too. Well, here's just a little bit about me and my background. So I am a registered nurse, hence why I do love looking at things through both a spiritual and a scientific lens. I did have some spiritual experiences as a young child, which I didn't really understand and, to be quite honest, freaked me out a little bit. So I was always quite sort of scared of spirituality and spiritual things, but I've always very much believed in it. I was always really fascinated to speak to people who had had sort of mediumship, psychic readings or holistic treatments such as energy healing. I found it all really interesting and fascinating and always wanted to sort of hear about their experience, what evidence had been brought through, what the psychic had said within the tarot cards, what the tarot cards brought up, and what sort of feelings and benefits they experienced from the holistic therapies, even though I say this in air quotes because you can't see me, even though I swore I'd never do those things myself, which is honestly so laughable. Because the universe blatantly had different things in store for me, because look at what this podcast is about, look at the products I'm releasing, and look at what I'm talking to you about now. It's just, yeah, my life. The universe really did a 180 on me, and changed my life. But it's changed it very much from the better, but just in a very different direction. So I always had a really busy life. I spent the majority of my early 20s running up and down a busy surgical ward as a nurse. When I wasn't at work, I was out socialising, drinking, partying, going to the gym, and just regularly burning myself into ground a day-to-day life. I was always on the go. I never really gave myself time just to simply like be present, and think about what I wanted to do. I never really allowed myself time to have hobbies. I didn't really have many interests other than going to the gym and things like that and socialising. And I feel that life was kind of too fast paced for me to sort of think about those things and consider any hobbies and interests that I might have. And no matter how happy I was, there's always an element of me that almost felt like there was a little bit of something missing, and that I didn't completely know who I was as a person. And a few years later, following that, my physical health did decline significantly, and I had no choice but to slow down, as I couldn't meet the demands of how previously fast-paced my life was. And at first I was incredibly resistant to that change. I was stuck in a very negative mindset, which is understandable, and there's no judgment there about that, as it's incredibly difficult dealing with health problems. And it was such a change from a life that I had before. I was very much stuck in a negative way of thinking, which is understandable. I was kind of sort of feeling like frustrated with the cards I'd been dealt. That was very much the mindset I was in. And it was when I was at my lowest point, it was literally like a light switch moment. I stopped being apprehensive about spirituality, and again found that fascination I had when I was younger, but without the anticipation or the fear that I had before. So I very much delved into all things spirituality, looking at wellness practices such as meditating, energy healing, positive affirmations, journaling, all the good stuff. I suddenly got into all that. And yeah, which is all things I'd never thought I'd do. And believe it or not, I also booked in for a psychic reading, which is something that terrified me, which was fab and further up in my mind. And it made me realise, actually, it's not scary, it's quite fascinating. From that and doing these practices, I found that my own intuition developed and enhanced. I started being more aware of signs that I was being sent from the universe and signs that I was getting from spirit, which previously my life was too fast paced to even notice or pay attention to. And from that, I started attending a spiritualist church, my local spiritualist church. And the first one I went to, I actually went by myself, and it was a trance demonstration, which literally a few months prior would have scared me to death, pardon the pun. I would have honestly found that terrifying. So it just goes to show how much of a light switch moment it was that I actually went and rocked up myself and went there. And the trance medium that was on has now become one of my best and closest friends, which really does show everything happens for a reason, and the universe does have a plan for each and every one of us, as much as we may not understand it at times. So following that, I did mediumship development classes as well, and that was something I absolutely loved, and it's just kind of gone on from there. I am now a spiritual medium. I get up at open platforms locally and practice. I have also shared demonstrations of mediumship before. I don't quite feel ready yet to do a full service by myself, but hopefully that will come in the future. and I've also explored energy healing, and I am now a Reiki 2 qualified practitioner. So if you aren't spiritual or you are a skeptic, that's absolutely fine. I respect everyone's beliefs. You're entitled to believe what you want. But I honestly believe you don't have to be spiritual or be a believer to benefit from some of the practices that we recommend and that we're going to discuss within these podcasts and our products in general. I like to think of life and spirituality and well-being overall as a buffet. Take what's appealing to you and leave what doesn't. We're going to encounter people along this podcast that may even have different opinions and viewpoints and beliefs to myself, but I really do find that fascinating. Even if you don't believe or resonate with the majority of what one person is talking about, it might just be one little thing you take away from that podcast, from that conversation, which really does enrich your life for the better, which is why I want to create this safe space for lots of people to talk about their lived experiences and their practices, as it really, really could enrich your life for the better. Even if it feels like it'd be something that you wouldn't be into, because look at how drastically my life has changed, and it really has helped me. I'm also really blessed to have a partner who is very supportive. I describe her as a reluctant believer. She's very open-minded, but she's also still quite sceptical at the same time. Spirituality definitely isn't her bag, but she's experienced too much and heard too much from me to not believe that there's nothing out there, if that makes sense. I have passed on some messages to her from her loved ones in spirit, and she hasn't run away yet, so that's absolutely fabulous. So let's manifest that I don't scare her off, because she's still around. I'm also a dog mummy. I absolutely love animals, and I have got 2 gorgeous boys who are my whole world. I've got 2 big dogs, got 2 Weimaraners. So yeah, I'm known as the resident crazy dog lady within my family and friendship group. I honestly can't wait to talk to different people on this podcast, and hopefully let's manifest, fingers crossed guys, that we get some listeners. I can't wait from hearing from you guys as well. As like I said before, we all have different lived experiences and different beliefs and different practices, which are all beautiful and brilliant within their own ways, and we could all learn from each other. And even if we don't learn, it's just interesting to hear about different practices that are different to our own and other people's life experiences. I really find speaking to people fascinating, and I really hope you guys enjoy it too. It's been an absolute pleasure telling you a bit about my journey and my business. And on the next podcast, we're going to have my wonderful friend Gemma discussing all things crystals, crystal care, and just sort of the basics around crystals if you're interested in that. And I'm going to look into a little bit about what science there is out there about sort of crystals, crystal healing, and the frequencies which crystals emit at the minute, to come at it from a scientific viewpoint as well. So I will end this podcast by giving you my love, light, and gratitude for listening, and I will see you next time.